Hello and welcome back to the Pocket Network Podcast, a podcast for real estate professionals like you to innovate your world. I'm your host, Margarita Petrosian, and each week I'll have professionals here discussing hot topics in the industry, giving some common knowledge, common challenges and advice, and so much more. So this week we have Aren Dergrigorian with us. Aren is a home loan officer, and thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for taking your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Appreciate it.
So Aren, let's jump right in.
Sure.
Let's talk about your background. So I know you have a bachelor in finance, and then you moved on to get your MBA.
I did.
And
Yes.
why don't you tell us more about that and just your career journey?
Yeah, for sure. So honestly, after high school, started like in banking at Wells Fargo immediately for like 5 years while I was doing my degree in finance. And then thereafter kind of just was kind of lost, to be honest, because I was like, okay, I got my degree in finance, but I'm still in banking. So I just decided, maybe I should advance my education. So I went for my MBA at Cal Poly Pomona. And then as I was doing that, I left banking and I was kind of just, trying to figure out what I want to do. Funny story is that my broker that I work for, it's been 8 years now, was my dad's good friend. My dad's like, just give it a shot, go talk to him. Basically, the rest is history. I had a niche for it. I was really good at it. I did finish my education, and then after I did, I just solely pursued, just being a loan officer, and it's the greatest decision I've ever made.
And was that right after your MBA?
So it was actually during my MBA.
Okay.
So during my MBA, I was like working part-time, learning the industry while still focusing on school. Because I'll never like start something and, not finish it. So I had to finish my MBA. So I finished my MBA. And the MBA just helped me like grow as a person, more or less, because obviously getting your MBA and doing home loans, it's like different territories, But it did help me grow as a person. It did help me become more mature, and some stuff that I did learn, I could utilize, and I do utilize in this industry. But yeah, so it definitely did help for sure.
And thinking back to your MBA, your experience at a large bank like Wells Fargo, and then now a more private, smaller brokerage, where do you think you had the best networking opportunities? So
yeah, banking, right? So I did it for like 6 years. I did make a lot of connections in banking, even just having former clients that I kept in touch with. That helped a lot. And just knowing like the bigger industry of stuff as far as like Wells Fargo compared to me being at a smaller shop, a broker, I do things, I guess it's like it's corporate versus mom and pop, right?
Yeah.
But in mom and pop, I feel like you have more resources and you're not limited as you are in like the corporate world. So that's definitely, And like, you could get more creative and think outside the box. And like you're just giving that opportunity, I feel like, more when you're working for a broker,
And then keeping in touch with your clients, like you said, with Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
Was there like a platform that you used, or was it by phone?
Not necessarily. Yeah, it was just like my phone. After I left banking, I kind of just, some of the people had like my cell phone number, or they've just been finding me on social media, which again, it's crazy, right? Like this last 5 years, it's like Instagram, Facebook, and all these social media, like, websites are just blowing up.
Oh yeah.
So like people find me like that, So and reconnecting with even college mates, like, or from like my MBA, people like, I've done like a couple loans for actually like my former classmate from my MBA program.
Oh wow.
So yeah, we kept in touch, and it just, things worked out really well.
Yeah, so making these lifelong connections is super important. I think that's why you're one of the perfect people, why one of our producers, Gev, thought of you to bring you onto the show.
Yeah.
Just because it's people like you that we know would super benefit from the Pocket Network and having a very specialized network where they can connect with professionals. So for your MBA, if there's people in the industry, whether it's loans, whether it's a realtor, it doesn't matter. If you had connected with them on the Pocket Network back then, so how much easier would it be if they were looking for the service to be like, oh, hey, my friend Aren.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Oh, my God. It would have been life-changing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you have to work hard in life no matter what. But yeah, this would have definitely helped significantly.
Yeah, and then going back to your comparison, Wells Fargo, huge corporate, and then versus where you're working now, the mom and pop. I think it's similar with the networking. Like there's these huge companies, Facebook owns, like Instagram, and I don't know how many other platforms.
Right.
They're the huge corporate. And then someone like the Pocket Network, you might call it the mom and pop, but actually it's more centered, more room for growth.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I mean, I called ours mom and pop. We're not mom and pop per se, but when you compare yourself to the bigger corporate
but
world.
in this industry, you definitely need something more centralized,
Absolutely.
more focused.
It's a personal touch.
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
that personal touch is very key, especially in my industry, because people want to trust you and they want to communicate with you.
Yes, that
so
goes actually to one question I had for you that I'm really excited to hear your answer about. So the personal touch, it's all about creating lifelong clients, right?
Absolutely.
So what have you found along the journey? What have you learned? What can you do to create these lifelong relationships?
Yeah, so I personally, I'm very blunt, I'm very honest, no beating around the bush for me. No matter what, if I have bad news to give you, I will give it. Because one thing I've learned in my industry is no news is always worse than bad news, no matter what. Because if you don't hear from someone, they will get like 20 different ideas in their head, right?
Yeah.
But as long as you're always communicating, you're straightforward. I literally, if I have a client in front of me, I like show my screen to them, you know, because I don't want them to think I'm hiding something. So I've learned for myself anyways, that's helped, right?
Yes.
Just honesty and transparency and communication, because that just builds trust. You build trust, you know, that one client refers their family member or their friend, and, you know, that kind of grows while you still keep in touch with your original client.
Of course.
And yeah, so that's truly helped me, and, you know, that's in my personality too, but I'm definitely going to continue doing that. For sure.
That's actually really amazing advice for an ever-changing market, for the client to feel secure, and like if you haven't just abandoned them, what's going on, to be very transparent, and to let them know what's happening along their journey, because at the end of the day, it's sure this is your job, but this is very personal to your client, and it's a huge deal in their life. Like, you know, it's not a loan to get, I don't know, a notebook, right, or books for school. Yeah.
No. For sure, like 100%. And if anyone is trying to get in the industry, that would be my word of advice: is just try to be, you know, have good communication with people, because like you don't know how far that goes, but it truly does. You know, answering a text, answering a phone call. I have OCD, right? Someone texts me, if I don't respond in 5 minutes, I go crazy. So, but they like that, right?
Yes.
There are loan officers, real estate agents that might not be as responsive, might not be as successful. But, you know, the successful ones out there, you could tell the difference.
Exactly.
You know, and clients always ask me, oh, why should I choose you over XYZ broker? I tell them, I'm like, we'll give you the same rate. We'll close at the same time. We'll probably give you the same costs. I'm like, but it's me that I'm selling, right?
Yes.
You know, if you go to those big banks, like we were talking about Wells Fargo, right? Or whatever, Chase or anyway. There are good loan officers, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of loan officers also there that are working just 9 to 5. After 6 p.m., they're like gone. Weekends, they don't work. If you're trying to buy a house and you have questions about your loan, like you're stressed out, right?
Of course.
Like, why can't I reach this person? Granted, I know a few actually loan officers at Wells Fargo that are amazing, great with their cell phones, but then there are the other few, you know, in the other big banks and whatnot, that, you know, they're just, you know.
Yeah, there definitely is something to be said about making that personal connection where who's the president of Wells Fargo, who's the head of the loans department.
Right.
You're not very close with them. Probably not everyone working there is. But then versus at your brokerage, it's your dad's friend, right?
And everyone knows my boss.
Yeah. So it's more personal. It's like the company is not just a company you're going to for a paycheck.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that also definitely goes into your work culture, and just the clients would definitely see that firsthand working with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's just the beauty of life, right? Like, it was my dad's friend that now I have a very good relationship as my broker. He's one of the smartest people I know. I picked his brain. I learned, because he was one of the best loan officers out there. You know, he's been in the game forever. So going under his, you know, umbrella is just like, you know, just a gift, you know?
Yeah.
And obviously I maximize.
Mentor.
Yeah, media mentor, and you absolutely just maximize on it, you know? And that's how you grow.
Yeah, you've been very blessed. You were just handed over right away, and you got a mentor right away.
Yeah.
Not everyone has that luxury.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's why another thing actually that I just thought about, the Pocket Network, we will have like a mentorship program where people like you right now, because it seems like you're very experienced, you've learned a lot from your own mentor, and your career isn't just set to, oh, I'm helping clients with loans, but it's also, what have I learned? What can I do to help others, right?
For sure. I definitely love to give back, right? Especially, I don't see it as if someone wants to be a loan officer, like, oh, it's a new competition for me. Again, as my broker always says, right? It's like a big circle. It's like, that's great. Everyone's in that big circle, but you're in this little circle. So I just focus on that.
Yeah.
Let hundreds of people want to be loan officers. Let people be real estate agents. it's great. You can make good money if you hustle and work really hard. But you obviously have to have it in you as well. But I'll never ever steer away from
Of course.
giving advice or helping people, because again, like my boss did it for me. I've had people that have assisted me that I've, as much as I could help them, I will. And because you never want to burn bridges either, and that grows your network, right? As you're saying,
it's a partnership.
Just like the purpose of this podcast, right? You just grow your network, you grow relationships. I mean, you never know when you need someone in life, so that's important.
So I think you're the perfect person to actually be a mentor on the Pocket Network, because it sounds like you reply really quickly. That would be great for new users.
I'll be more than happy to, absolutely.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So comparing the networking for banking, is there anything that they would use internally that you remember that you took advantage of?
Banking, I mean, it's been so long. Banking, last I worked was like 9 years ago, 10 years ago. As far as the networking, I mean, coworkers, you have coworkers like phone numbers again, but you just build like relationships, like friendships per se. You keep in touch with people. As far as like a specific platform, there wasn't really.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, banking is so much different than what like the real estate world or the mortgage world is. I didn't know that when I was in banking. I thought it was like, oh, it's gonna be a breeze. It's the hardest transition ever. I want to say like 1 out of 5, 6 people that come and try to be a loan officer or a real estate agent just don't survive the first month. It is really hard. It truly is. So as far as like, the banking networking, I don't think there was, you know?
Yeah, and that's, I think, from what I can tell, the difference between the banking world and then the loan officer world,
right? Which
is the mentorship, the network that you build.
Yeah, for sure. Again, at the end of the day, it's corporate, right? Yeah. So people are just trying to go up the ladder. In this, it's not. There's no ladder. It's just, this is your position. If you want to be successful, you got to work hard, and
And with the excess amount of information out there right now, like 15-year-olds can just, with their iPhone, they don't even have to buy anything specific, post tutorials, YouTube videos, add on to Wiki, crazy. And people trust Wikipedia. Yeah. So there's too much information. If there was like a centralized outlet where people trustable with actual experience like yourself could actually post webinars, whatever it is, that would definitely help with anyone going up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, it's like basically like if someone is on social media or whatever, and they see a interest rate of 1.5%, for example, they like, they don't know the industry, they don't have the knowledge or the information. They just see that, they're like, oh my God, let me call Aren. But no, there's so many different layers to that advertising that they don't show. It's like those hidden fees, hidden costs and stuff.
It's just a hook.
And and that's the same thing as information out there, right? Like, are you gonna Google how to be a good real estate agent? No, it's not like that.
Yeah.
You always have to have that personal touch,
Yeah, of course.
So I've had good mentors that I've learned from, and you learn through experience.
Yeah.
Right.
So it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, what you're saying, what it takes to be a good loan officer, it's not just making your business very, very personal, your relationship with the client very personal, but finding that right network, access to the right information to succeed.
For sure. Experience and knowledge, is power, right? So, I mean, you can't just walk in one day and be like, I'm going to be a loan officer and that's it. Yeah. No, for sure. And networking is always important, because look, I'm human, right? I think I'm a very successful loan officer. I think I'm good at what I do, but sometimes there are just loans that maybe I can't do. But that doesn't mean that someone else can't do it. So that's why I have that network of other loan officers in my surrounding, that maybe I could use them as a resource if need be, Of
course.
Because it's just good to have. Or, maybe there's a scenario, because again, like every scenario you get is not the same. It's not black and white. It's always gray. There might be a scenario I just don't know, I mean, I'm pretty confident I know most, but I'm human, right? So I might contact another loan officer, whether it's in my own broker office or externally, just to ask them, and they'll get their advice or get information, because that's what we do, right? We have to help each other out. And again, as you say, like networking. So it's key. It's important for sure.
Yeah. And then another thing I wanted to ask you for your MBA, thinking back, if you knew exactly where you wanted your career to go, if you had already gotten this position that you have right now, would you have been able to take better advantage of your classmates, your professors? 100%.
If I knew I kind of did though as well, because I like, I talk a lot. So
Okay.
with my classmates and stuff, you talk like, what do you do for work? What do you do? So like I would, kind of plant the seed per
Yes.
se, with the classmates and stuff. So they knew, but obviously at that time I wasn't like fully established. So I kind of would just throw it out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd probably be more, I guess the word persistent maybe, or aggressive a little more maybe,
Okay.
with these classmates for sure. But obviously at that moment, I didn't know exactly
Yeah.
what I was going to do.
Yeah, because it seems like you also used the MBA for a big shift in your career as well.
For sure. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. So another question that I had for you, you talked about the interest rates and things that we might see on social media.
Mm-hmm.
So because of COVID, we've seen that the government's trying to stimulate the
Right,
economy.
yeah.
They're lowering interest rates.
Yeah.
Do you think that this is actually going to stimulate the economy, or do you think long term it's going to blow up on us?
$1 million question, right? Strictly my opinion,
Okay.
through experience. So it's funny, actually, my thesis for my MBA, I actually did it on the 2008 mortgage crash.
Amazing.
So I'm very, very familiar with it. Nothing like that is going to happen again.
Okay.
No way, because there's definitely different precautions that the government and the feds have taken to protect consumers from foreclosing and losing their houses. With that being said, these rates right now we're seeing are like ridiculously low. The market, though, the prices are crazy high,
Yeah.
but you have to have that because it's still keeping the economy going. People are still motivated to buy because they're going to have a low interest rate. It's vice versa. If the rates go up, technically with, economy is, it's like supply demand. That means prices need to drop if rates go up because people might get more discouraged to buy. But then at that point, maybe sellers decide, you know what, I don't want to lose out on my, the purchase, like the sales price. I want to sell. So I think the feds are doing a good job with the situation. As far as like, all this money being pumped, I mean, it's crazy. Inflation is going to go up. They've already announced it. There's always meetings around it. And obviously once inflation goes up, it's going to cause rates to go up. This is a matter of when, and how much.
Yeah, just the natural trend of things.
Yeah. So yeah, I think there will be an adjustment next year. Again, my opinion, of course. But again, how much and when it's key. But I mean, there's no way an economy could go like this with this many like these SBA funds or all this unemployment, and there's so much money just being thrown out to people. So I mean, hopefully everyone can manage their money correctly, and hopefully we don't have like a big like recession. But it's unforeseeable, but we'll see what happens for sure.
Yeah, hopefully everything you said is correct. Hopefully we're not having another
Yeah.
crash, right?
Yeah.
And if nothing happens, you heard it here first, Pocket Network podcast, right?
Absolutely. for
Okay,
sure.
so now going back to your thesis, you said it was about the 2008 market crash.
Yeah.
Is there anything specific that you're noticing, similarities? And then you said Fed is dealing with it better. What are they doing differently?
Yeah, well, it's just a different type of loans that they're not offering anymore. It's like subprime lending. So they would offer like these loans called negative amortization loans, where they would offer you like 1% rate, and you'd only pay the interest. You'd only pay principal, but the interest, that 1%, you wouldn't pay. It would just get added to your loan balance.
Okay.
And then like after like, let's say it was fixed for like 3 years or 5 years, the rate would go from 1% to like 5-6% out of the blue. And that 1% kept getting added onto your loan. And then the market prices dropped and your loan amount was more than what your house was worth.
Yeah.
That's called being underwater. And that's when you can't refinance and you can't afford your payment because you're paying a 1% rate, now you're paying a 5% rate. And it was just like it's called a payment shock. It was like a massive payment shock. That's a big no-no now. You can't have that anymore.
And then thinking back, was all of this information readily like accessible? Was the government being very straight up with it?
Back then?
Yeah.
So the research I did, it was just about making money. That's all it was. No preparation was made.
If you had the loan officer, it wouldn't be very transparent?
Look, the loan officer's job is to close the deal, right? You can't call them the bad guys because someone comes to you and says, hey, I heard you could do so-and-so. If you're going to say no when you can, you're going to go to someone else that could, right? So, I mean, at the end of the day, the loan officer's job is obviously their job should have been to just disclose and be very honest and straightforward with it. But again, people back then, they wouldn't care. American dream. They want a house. They don't have to put a down payment back then. Your payment is 1/5 of what you thought it was going to be, right? That doesn't exist anymore. you could close loans back then probably in 2-3 days. Now 30 days goes through underwriting. It's very strict, right?
Thank God for that.
Yeah, for sure. There's all these programs in place now that the underwriters are supposed to do their due diligence. So with that being said, and the protection of consumers not being able to are able to like do loan modifications now. So if they're struggling with their payment, banks are required to look into different options prior to just immediately foreclosing on them.
Yeah.
So with that, it helps people that are living in their homes stay in their homes.
Yeah.
So that's like a significant difference.
Okay, amazing. Yeah, I didn't even think of those. Pretty big differences, right?
Massive.
Yeah.
Massive,
okay.
for sure.
So then another thing. So with COVID right now, I don't know if this is true or not because I'm not hearing it from people that are actually in the game. I'm hearing that a lot of people are just straight up paying in cash for the entire house. What do you have to say about that?
There's a lot of money out there. I would say people are putting stronger offers, are going way higher on offers, like if like maybe like 20-30% more than asking price, because there's a lot of money out there, right? And obviously it's like these SBA loans and these PPPs, people are getting hundreds and thousands of dollars. It's absolutely ridiculous. And some people are just, are
spending it in a
they're
different
like,
place.
let me spend it on a home. I'll deal with the consequences later, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I've heard like other ways that people are just, making money and have just a lot of cash on it. Again, but this isn't like stuff like I could confirm.
Yeah, of course, because you're doing
it's
the
an
loan.
assumption, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we verify funds, but like if they got the SBA loan, let's say 6 months ago, we only verify the last 2 months. So how are we going to know? We're not. And I'm not going to turn around and ask them because that's not my business.
Yeah.
I just need to make sure they have the funds to close. And however they're spending the money, that's up to them. My job is just to get them qualified.
Yeah.
And I tell them, if they ask me about it, obviously I'll tell them my honest opinion about it, like however they're using it. And if they want to take the risk, that's what am I supposed to do at that point, right?
No,
as I said earlier, right?
Do.
If I don't do it, someone else is.
Yeah.
I just need to help them out, educate them, which I always will do. Tell them the consequences if there are any, and then the pros and cons, and kind of they have to make the decision at the end of the day, So
recently I was speaking to someone and they were looking at a house and their budget was around, I want to say like they said less than 800, right? So that's a pretty big budget.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
almost $1 million.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then someone completely outbid them.
Yeah.
Straight up cash payment. So I have an MBA too. So now I'm trying to use my big business background, and I'm thinking instead of paying $800,000 for this one thing, why not put 100 into 2 different things? The rest of the cash, use it to build that, and all of a sudden you have investment properties. You can invest in businesses. Your 800,000 can turn into 8 million really quick.
Absolutely. I think whenever there's cash offers, I don't think it's just strictly cash, because there's hard money loans where they're private money, right?
Okay.
So you could do 30% down, and the rest could come from the hard money, and hard money could close in like 3 to 5 days. It's really
that makes
fast.
Sense.
So when someone says I'm going to offer cash, by the time escrow closes, regardless, it takes a week. So it could sound like it's all cash offer. I'm one of the people, right? I've seen in the past, I've really loved the house. We do hard money loans at our office. So if I want to be really aggressive, I will go and say, hey, I'll offer cash.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I'm putting all the cash, because what you do is you get a hard money loan and you just refinance after. You just get to do the hard money so you close fast, because sometimes sellers want to get the money ASAP and close the deal. And then whatever, that hard money payment and that loan that you have as a consumer and the owner of the home is not, now it's on you to figure out how you're going to get out of that hard money payment. So I think more or less it's that. That's like the cash.
Yeah.
It's still very expensive to get a hard money loan opposed to like a regular loan. But again, the market's so competitive, right? So
that makes much more sense. That
yes.
makes me more relieved thinking of all these people
out
there.
I don't think someone just taking out, hey, $1 million, boom. No, that's not reasonable. Unless someone is that rich.
When I was younger, I thought that's how it works. You buy a house, and you just
same.
$3 million right here.
Like my current manager that formerly worked at like this big corporation for like actors and actresses, they make millions of dollars, but they're still getting loans.
Yeah, of course, because that makes sense business-wise.
You got to use your money on other places and make money off of it, right? Especially right now, sorry to cut you off, like rates are 3%.
Yeah.
It's like free money, literally free money, right?
Yeah.
Because you could go put it in the stock market or other real estate projects where you can make 5, 6, 7, 10% or whatever.
Exactly.
So
yeah, and hopefully if you have that kind of cash to be spending, you have a financial advisor or your home loan officer knows what he's doing.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Agreed.
So for that aspect, the way I'm thinking of it, because I don't know if your MBA is required for your position, but it would make sense to go to someone like you who has this business background, who has this very diverse education, so that you're able to not only say, this is the loan percentage, this is what I recommend, but also business-wise, is this smart? Maybe I can refer you to a financial advisor, or just take the advice from me if you trust me.
Right, and definitely don't even need a bachelor's degree to be a loan officer, but I mean, education, it's, why not? It's extra knowledge. If you've learned stuff, that you could help others with, why not?
And nowadays, it seems like entry level, before it was you graduate high school and then you go into your career. It seems like everyone has at least a bachelor's degree.
It seems that way. I mean, but I feel like bachelor's degree is like the minimum that you should have nowadays.
But at the same time, bachelor's degree, it's not a very specific program, at least the first 2 years. So you have access to such a diverse amount of people, different industries, different interests, and also, like you said, originally you started off banking, now you're in home loans. You never know who the person sitting next to you in calculus will be doing in 5-10 years.
You never know. Absolutely. No,
and then you find them on the Pocket Network. And you're like, remember me?
I mean, any way possible that you could network or grow this podcast, especially, it's
and even
great.
It doesn't matter. Literally, you could be a doctor. If the doctor's investing their money the right way, next thing you know, they could be an investor for you, for your business, your ideas.
For sure.
Networking is everything nowadays. We're in such a global world right now that using technology to connect with people, literally in your pocket, you don't have to go out to these fancy meetings. You don't have to have fancy friends with money to introduce you to the right people. You can send a message on the Pocket Network to Aren, to who knows who else you want to mentor you, depending on the industry. And all of a sudden, within seconds, you have someone that's been in the game for 8 years, 20 years, giving you free advice.
Take advantage. 100%.
That's one thing people don't do enough. They think just because I'm paying for it, there's all these expensive networking events. And I'm not saying they don't work. They work, but not everyone has access to those things. And then there's free things like the Pocket Network. If you see there's a free membership, you might say, okay, what am I going to do with free membership? But in reality, it's so centralized. It's real estate industry right in front of you. You don't really have to do all the specifications you would on other social media. How do you find someone?
Don't be a headless chicken.
And then on Instagram, you can have 35 high school graduates calling themselves home loan officers because their dad's doing it. And then, but if you're on the Pocket Network, you see someone who has a real following, who gives real advice that makes sense, like yourself.
For sure.
And then, would it be better to send one message to you or 35 messages to 35 newbies on Instagram?
I totally agree.
And people are really good on this social media game. I've seen people that I know them personally. They've never sold a house in their life. And on Instagram, I'm like, oh, you go.
They're killing it.
Yeah.
Look, social media just show, I have my business page because I truly like to educate. I like to get my name out there. I want people to put a face to my name, That's what I've always wanted.
You also have the loyal clientele to have the reviews, right?
Of course. When I started out, I was posting here and there, but I didn't even know what I was doing. I was just trying to because my own family didn't know I was doing loans. I was like, oh my God, okay, you gotta be more active.
Yeah, of course. It's really good to get the word out there. Especially, but what I keep thinking is all of these people, I don't know what we could call them, social media money. It's 13-year-olds, 7-year-olds who they become YouTubers. They blow up. All of a sudden, they're making $24 million a year. By the time they're 18, do you think their parents or high school has equipped them with the right mindset, the right questions to ask when trying to buy a home, when trying to get a loan? Absolutely. If they see someone on Instagram who looks like they're big like themselves, they'll maybe reach out. So definitely, social media is a big factor. But if you can centralize it, like I said, Pocket Network, where these people are writing real articles, they're hosting webinars, you see what they're talking about. And they're not all talk, they've done it, they can give out the right advice. Would you not want, whether you're 18 or 80, do you not want to put your money where it's worked before, right?
that's the reputation you guys are building,
Yeah.
right? It's you're gonna show quality over quantity.
Exactly.
So if someone sees your page, they're gonna know that you guys did your due diligence to know like, okay, these people are not just random Joe Schmoes. These people we've talked to, we've interviewed, whatever. We know that they're actually like knowledgeable and they have a good reputation, and they're legitimate, basically.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
that's-
Even thinking of this podcast, we have all kinds of friends. All of us have at least 5 cousins who are realtors, right? Especially like I'm Armenian, so I literally have 5 cousins who are realtors. But
Right.
it's just what they tried to do after high school.
Right.
They probably, their heart wasn't in it, whatever.
Yeah.
But there's just such a concentrated amount of everything in the real
Right.
estate industry, but to actually have a platform where it's people giving each other advice. So you might
sure.
actually not join seriously. You might be like, whatever, I'm out of high school, have to do something.
Yeah.
But then once you hear someone like Aren speaking, you hear someone on social media in the industry giving real advice, all of a sudden it completely changes your mindset.
Yeah.
It changes your habits. You get into a groove of the right habits,
sure.
doing the right thing in the morning when you wake up, and all of a sudden it's a real career that comes out of it, right?
Yeah, 100%. And those people that are coming out of high school, good job for them if they're trying to hustle.
Yeah.
Hopefully all the success for them. But, if there are people out there just doing something just to do something, yeah, absolutely. Like this, sometimes people do need a platform, and
Yes.
it's easier. Like I didn't have that opportunity. I literally, when I started, I went to my broker. He gave me like 1 or 2 loans or 3 loans just to get my feet wet. After that, it was kind of like, hey, figure it out. You're on your own. Like, it was the hardest thing I've ever done. I was so stressed out. First, I want to say the first 6 months I was there, I didn't make $1.
Wow.
Yeah, thankfully I was still living at home. But after that, it was like, okay, I'm making some money, not life-changing, more money, and my boss said it best whenever I sat down with him. I remember, I think it was the first day when I sat down with him. He said this business is just like a train, right? It's like slowly starts rotating, but once a train starts going, it's very hard to stop, right?
Yeah.
Unless you put the brakes on it. So that's what it is, right? It takes time, but eventually, if you're doing the right stuff, it's like impossible to stop yourself.
Yeah, I think that's great advice, because nothing starts off and you jumps off, right? And then people, I think, especially with young people, they're very impressive nowadays because they have access to information right in their pocket,
Right.
and they get going, but their expectations are, I post a TikTok video, it goes viral, but even those people, not every single video after that is very popular,
Very
right?
true,
You have to
yeah.
be dedicated, post good content. Same
Yeah.
thing for jobs. You have to be dedicated. You have to keep going.
Right.
Like you said, for 6 months is a really long time. Anyone else would have been discouraged.
Yeah.
But you found your calling.
Yeah.
You found the right place to work. Also,
sure.
that's very important. And
Absolutely.
now with the Pocket Network, that's hopefully, I hope we make it so much easier for everyone.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah, so that they ask advice, they meet people like you who tell them it's not just like a story, Cinderella story of that you see on
no,
Instagram.
for sure.
I'm closing, I don't know how many deals a day, 60 deals a day. That's great. I saw a podcast where this girl was talking about closing 60 deals a day.
Yeah.
Like, that's great. But people that are at that level don't need advice anymore.
Right.
So what are we telling the people? How did you get there? It wasn't just handed over to you, right?
Yeah, you got to show people that it did take hard work. This is just this should be the stepping stone for someone's career path. Maybe they don't know if they want to do this or not, but maybe someone contacts me through you guys and I tell them and they're like, oh, forget this. It's not for me. Or maybe someone's like, oh my God, yes, I love it. You know? So
yeah, we need real mentors like you, transparent mentors like you.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
for everyone listening at home, you can contact Aren. Do you want to give them your social media?
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So what's your handle?
That's a good question.
It's okay. We'll link it.
I think it's Aren Home Loans.
Yes,
Yeah,
okay.
I believe it's Aren Home Loans.
Okay, so you can reach Aren on Instagram. You'll be able to reach him on the Pocket Network. Reach out to him. He's very nice, I can tell you firsthand, and he's very knowledgeable. You could talk to him about his thesis. He'll give you some. Yeah, he'll tell you we're not going to have a market crash anymore. Join the industry, right?
There you go.
Just be very dedicated, very motivated. You can listen to the rest of our podcast. You can access more information on all of our social media. Everything will be be linked everywhere we post it, YouTube, Spotify. So it's the Pocket Network. You can find us everywhere. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much, Aren,
My
for
pleasure.
joining
Thanks
us
for having
today.
me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And everyone, just remember, change begins at home.